Is there a really big difference between dubbing for anime or basically video games and stuff?
I've only worked on 2 video games, but for me it was a drastically different experience than working on anime dubbing because the anime was done and we're watching it right there in the studio and it was finished.
Yeah.
The video games that I worked on had not been completed yet, so I'm not recording to there's no picture, like I've seen a drawing of the character, and that's it. So it's slightly more liberating in that I don't have to somehow put a pause in the middle of a sentence for no reason just because of the little cartoon lip flap stopped moving. So yes, it was very different.
The content can be different. Like with this job I just did, at the end of the script, I had to do just short lines of little replies like later, one more thing, or try again. To tell little cues to the player what he was going to click on next. So that you never get in an anime script.
Well, yeah, because in anime, you're telling one linear story. And in a game, there are all these different possibilities. So there are all these things that you're saying that are really non sequiturs because, okay, if this, then this, So there are all these possibilities of different things that might happen. So it's a much more disjointed experience. Like you don't feel that you've actually told a story because there are all these different variants of things that might happen. My absolute favorite part was the screaming because there were these pages where it was just like scream, 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 scream. But the director was there going, this is the direction I'm getting. It's like, okay, you're being stabbed, you're being impaled, you've just been shot, you were set on fire, you've been bludgeoned. Been in, it was like, and so I'm doing all these different screams because of course they're vastly different, if they're being impaled or bludgeoned or set on fire. And then, there's also the alternate possibility of what might happen is like that now I'm the aggressor, so you're impaling him, you're stabbing him, you're setting him on fire, you're bludgeoning him. It's like so there was just but what was on the page was literally scream, 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 scream. So but it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it.
Oh yeah, tons.
Same thing?
Usually it's like impact, grunt, or striking, and the director's there to say, all right, here you're just being kicked. Here you're almost at the end of your life. So you just have to take all those things into it.
But no lip flaps. I mean, you're not watching.
Oh yeah, that's the big difference between dubbing anime and cartoon. Is that it's all our video games because it's all wild. You get the script but it is liberating in the sense, like you said, because a lot of times they don't know exactly how it's going to turn out, so they'll say like try it several different ways. So the only bummer is that you never get a chance to pick your favorite. They might pick the take that you like the least.
Mel Blanc.
Absolutely.
From 3 questions ago.
Yeah, there you go. No Blanc. Barney Rubble.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh.
Have you ever worked on something that we became a fan of later? Yes. My perfect example of that would be Full Metal Alchemist. I hadn't really been following it. My character was only in the 2nd season. And I knew when it was airing on Adult Swim, God, it's still airing on Adult Swim. But I started watching the 2nd season, and then I started watching, I guess, a couple episodes before my character got introduced. And then I started watching it all the way through the end of the series. And so then they started airing it again, and I had to watch all the way through the first, and then I watched the 2nd season again, and yes, so now I'm like this hardcore FMA fan, and I was in like 10 episodes of it, but I like all the other episodes too, so it's not just one episode.
I became a pretty big fan of One Piece when I was doing the voice of Usopp, only because I loved when Usopp would come on and he would sound like a complete maniac. I'm like, that's me.
Wowzer, I became a big fan of Wowzer. I never missed an episode. In fact, I was so fanatic about it that the first few episodes aired, and in my recollection, there's the voice track, and then there's the music and effects effects track. And they had the music and effects track turned up way too loud. And it was stepping on the dialogue. So I called up the head engineer over at Saban, where we did the show, and I said, "You realize this is happening?" And he called the TV station, and sure enough, they were airing it wrong. They had it set wrong, and they improved it. They switched it around.
That's awesome.
They brought the music and effects down and the dialogue up. I said, you know, we're sweating to write, because we were writing the episodes as well, and we were sweating to write this great dialogue, and which no one, yeah, could hear.
2 minutes.
2 minutes. We got time for a 2-minute question.
Yes.
There it is.
I haven't. Go 13, I've heard of it. I know, I'm aware of it, but I haven't ever actually seen it. Sorry, say it again? Kites? Yeah, I've heard of that. I have not seen it.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, Puni Puni Poem was banned in New Zealand, and I can tell you that when I went to New Zealand, I signed 3 copies of it. It was awesome.
Why was it
I
banned?
signed it because of the content.
Oh.
It's very racy.
Oh.
And hysterically funny.
One more question?
Yes, sir.
When I was a kid, the game that I had was called Pong. And there were these little bars jumping down on the side of the TV, and they shot this little tiny ball across, and they didn't talk. So I think my answer would be no. I'm very old. Anybody have an answer? What about all those games that you played when you were a kid, Robert?
I was never a kid. I played hockey. That was my.
Would you like to go back and revoice some of those hockey pucks?
Yeah.
Well, a really obscure game I used to play as a kid was called Dracula Unleashed, and it was on called the Sega CD. You know it, okay. I always think of that game when I'm recording a game, because I spent so many nights just playing that game and had it in my head. So when I'm recording a game, I'm always thinking to myself, I'm just doing another version of Dracula. So.
After this, we are doing autographs in some location, and where will that location be?
That's
Sub-programming.
Sub-programming, which is that way. The nice lady back there.
Why we're not doing it here, I don't know.
Anyway,